Hi guys, welcome back to Van Man Vapes. In this video what we're going to do is we're going to be going through different size coils of standard coil builds, so just single wrapped wire but different sizes. Now they do have different names, although a lot of people don't really pay attention to that. They just sort of build a coil that they want to whack in their RDA or their RTA. But let me just quickly go through it with you. So you've got your macro coils, you've got your micro coils, your nano coils, and then your super nano coils. Now, once you get a bit small, once you get to the nano and the super nano, the wicking technique gets a little bit different to the macro and the micro. What I'll do is I'll use this video, I'll show you guys all the different types, and then I'll do a separate video for each one afterwards, sort of showing you how to put it in, how to wick it in there. So I'm going to be using a sort of variety of tools today. I'm going to be using my UD or UD coil jig, however you want to say it, if you want to say it as a word or as two separate letters. I do have a review for that, I'll put a link for that in the description below. I'm going to be using this little coil jig, which sort of changes in sizes as it goes along the shaft. And then we have got a safety pin. That one is for the super nano coil. Very, very tricky today. So basically all those words mean macro, micro, nano, super nano is the inner diameter, the ID, the width, whatever you want to call it, of the coil. So I've got a couple of strands of wire here that I will show you. There we go. 4 there to be exact. 2 of them are 22 gauge Canthal and 2 of them are 24 gauge nichrome or Ni80. Now I have straightened them, so they're going to be nice and easy to work with. I have a tutorial on how to straighten your wire. I'll put a link to that in the description below. So if you want to go check that out, it is a lot easier working with straightened wire than what it is to work with sort of curved wire straight off the spool. Once you straighten it, it's a lot easier, even for the more complex builds as well. It does make it a lot easier. One thing I will say while I'm getting all of this ready is, guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's doing pretty well. I've been talking to a couple of companies I'm hoping to be working with very soon. So if you subscribe, you'll get notified when new videos come up. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with the macro. Now, I have tried to look into it a little bit. I don't know if there is a definitive and exact measurement sort of falls between the names of these coils. I have seen a lot of other people sort of do this on YouTube, and some of them go by slightly different sizes than others. Some of them have a different definition to each one. So basically I'm going to sort of come up with my own, which may follow the guidelines of another YouTuber and what they've said, or it might not. So for the macro, I'm going to sort of say between 4mm and 3mm in a diameter. So that'll be your biggest ones. For your micro, I'm going to say sort of lower than 3mm, sort of 3 down to like sort of 2.5mm. So not a lot smaller, still sort of wide enough to get a wick through the middle. For your nano, I'm gonna say like sort of 1mm to 2mm, and then for your super nano, that's going to be the one that gets wrapped around the safety pin. That's going to be your super nano. I mean, it's absolutely tiny, size of a needle, size of a pin. Not very big at all. You cannot get a wick through the middle of that. So for the biggest two, I'm going to use the 22 gauge wire, purely as it's easy to work with. So we go straightened 22 gauge Canthal, and we're going to be wrapping this around a 3.5mm jig. So what you can do is try and get this nice and as close to the camera as I can for you guys. So you're going to whack it through there. In the sort of review of this coil jig, I do show you how to use it. And then what you want to do, you just want to wrap. You can do it by hand, or if you have got the other end of a jig, you can use the other end of your jig. While you're doing your wraps, you do want to sort of try and keep the wraps as tight together as you can, unless obviously you do want a spaced coil, then by all means go for a spaced coil. Okay, it's getting a bit tricky. This length of wire that I've used a little bit long. Next one, I will cut it down to size for you guys. Get the other end of the jig there just to push that down. Get the cutters, get rid of that excess bit of wire. Straighten my legs out a little bit. Get rid of the excess. Now I wasn't really concentrating fully as I did this while I was talking to you guys, so I have ended up sort of spacing it a little bit. But there you have your basic sort of macro coil, quite a standard size. That's going to fit in most of your sort of 24mm and upwards RDAs. It's quite good. I mean, it gets a good surface area. It's easy to get your sort of target resistance as well with your macro coils. That was around a 3.5mm jig bit. So there we go, there is your macro coil. Now we're going to go on to the micro coil. We are going to drop it down to a 2.5mm jig bit. Again, same coil jig. Let's cut this wire down a little bit now, shall we? So these coils, they do all have slightly different uses. They will have slightly different sort of vapes, how you want to vape. If you want a lot of wire, if you want a lot of surface area, if you want a small sort of compact coil so you can put more in your RDA, or if it's for a smaller RDA, whether you want a hot vape, a cool vape, a dense vape, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you'll do what everyone else does. You'll do what I did. You'll experiment. You'll see what works best for you, what gives you the best result as to what you're after as a vapor. Whether you're a flavour chaser, whether you're a cloud chaser, whether you're direct to lung, whether you're mouth to lung, whether you like high resistance, low resistance, it's all going to be down to sort of personal preference. In quite a few of my builds, I do like the sort of more surface area, so I do go for the sort of the macro coils, the slightly bigger coils. Get more wire in there, get more surface area, you'll get thicker cloud, simply because I am trying to practice doing my tricking indoors. Nearly got the jellyfish, nearly got it. My hoops have come a long way as well since my hoop blowing video, you'll be happy to know. So there we have it. There we have a micro coil. Let's just whack that up next to the macro coil just so you can see the size difference. So you can see there is quite a bit of difference there. The inner diameter is a lot different. So there we have the micro coil. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start getting a little bit trickier now. I'm going to move on to the sort of 24 gauge wire, slightly thinner. Cut a nice little length off there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do it around the thinnest most part of this, which is 1.5mm, and this is going to be one of your nano coils. So you want to whack that on there parallel to it. There's a slight lip you can go around on this as well, so it's quite good. I mean, I ordered this off of Fast Tech. I think it's probably about £1, so it's very cheap, very easy to get hold of. Now let's just get that going in there, and away we wind. Now when you're on the sort of nano coil, your first wrap might not go as desired, but that doesn't matter. I mean, if you just carry on, get the rest of your wraps done as you want them, and then you can always unwrap that first wrap and then straighten your wire out afterwards. And the thing with this is, as you get a smaller inner diameter to your coil, there's going to be less wire in the coil depending on how many wraps you've done. So ideally, sort of going by ratio, the smaller your inner diameter of your coil, the more wraps you're going to want to do to keep your resistance up. Otherwise, with so little wire, your resistance is going to be really low. In some cases, it might end up being sort of dangerously low, which is not what you want. You want to keep vaping safe. You don't want to put yourself or any others at risk if you're building coils for yourself, or if you're building them for someone else, maybe a friend or family, trying to help them out, get them on the rebuildables. So here we go, let's just clip those leads. And there you have it, there is your nano coil. As you can see, you've got a very, there's 1.5 mil up the inside of that. Now let's compare that to the micro and to the macro. As you can see, there is a very, very big size difference there. I do apologise, my camera quality is not amazing. I am just using my phone. Hopefully going to get a better camera at some point. I'm not sure when. So yeah, so there's your nano coil. That'll be extremely hard to wick, and even if you can wick it through the middle, it's not going to be a very effective sort of method of wicking. So that is going to be a sort of coil that you use for different types of wicking, maybe wrap the wick around the outside. So that was on the 1.5 mil. Now what we're going to do, the very tricky one. I've only done this one once before, so apologies if it doesn't go as planned. So this one is going to be around a safety pin, which I would say is probably about 1 mil in thickness, if that. You can go thinner, you can go around a sewing needle. See, I'm going to have an advantage here. I'm going to put the wire through the loop on the bottom of the safety pin, sort of to give me a little bit of leverage to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to also bend the safety pin out a bit more, just so the sort of the clasp doesn't get in my way while I'm wrapping. And you can use a needle, but obviously if you use a safety pin, you've got a little bit more to hold on to. You're less likely to sort of stab yourself. If you do use a needle, I will advise that you take the sharp end up, because you don't want to be stabbing yourself while you're wrapping your coil. So here we go, let's just start with the wrap, start it nice and easy. Now, as I was saying earlier about the thinner your diameter of your coil, the more wraps you're going to want to use to get your sort of your desired resistance. With the Super Nano, you are going to want to make them pretty long coils, because this is where your resistance will drop insanely low if you don't do many wraps. I mean, if I was to only do like between 2 to 4 wraps around a needle, that's only going to be like the same amount of wire that's going to be in like 1 wrap of a macro coil, which is going to give you a resistance of like 0.0001. It'd be silly dangerous. You'd end up either at the dentist or the hospital having your teeth or your face repaired. So let's get a nice few wraps in there. Let's get it off there, stick that back through. So what I've done there is I just pulled it off the needle to get it through the sort of the clasp at the end. So same as with the nano coil, your first couple of wraps are not going to sort of go as desired. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to unwrap those first 1 or 2 wraps. Then you're going to want to pull it nice and tight and clip your legs. So like I said, I'm not going to show you how to pop them into the RDAs in this video. I am going to do sort of separate videos for that. This video was to just sort of give you a slight idea of how big, how small you can go with your coils, different things you can do. If you want to have fun at home, if you're like me, you want to have a little experiment, see what sort of results you get. So there you have the Super Nano coil. I mean, you can't even really see through the inside of that one, no matter how I hold that to the camera. It's absolutely tiny. I mean, I've used a safety pin to wrap that around, so it's very small. So you've got your Super Nano, your Nano, your Micro, and your macro coil. So you can sort of, in this day and age, you can sort of really spin a coil to whatever size you want. I mean, there are other RDAs out there. There's I think it's called the Death Wish or the Death Trap, which is 30 mil. That's got a massive build deck on it. I mean, you could go even bigger than a macro coil. You could do a coil that's got like sort of a 6 mil in a diameter, and that would still fit in that RDA. So I mean, it's crazy what you can do these days with vaping. You can experiment how you want. You can build what you want. You can do whatever you want in this day and age. I mean, like that Super Nano coil, you can put one of them that's like 20 wraps, like stupid long, and wrap the cotton around the outside of it, so then the airflow, it sort of goes through the inside of the coil rather than hits the outside of the coil. And they haven't all got to be level, they haven't got to be centralised. You can sit how you want. You've got vertical builds, you can have diagonal builds. You can do whatever you want these days with your coil building. I mean, coil building is absolutely crazy. It's amazing what you can do. I'm always experimenting. So there you have it. You've got your macro coil, your micro coil, your nano coil and your super nano coil. Like I said, different people have different variations of the measurements that they should be. That's simply like what I sort of go by: macro, micro, nano, super nano, getting smaller each time. Do be careful when you try the nano or the super nano. Please don't stab yourself. Vape safe. Check your resistance on your coil before using any coil. And if you've liked the video, then please let me know by hitting that thumbs up button, like the video, and give me a subscribe. I'll see you next time.